Hello, Facebook Landia. Phoenix here with my social experiment behind the mask, episode 9. I am feeling a bit under the weather today. A little bug entered into my body at the beginning of the week, and so I've been sitting still, laying low, healing, not pushing, which is a big accomplishment for me, to not push. And I feel like the under the weatherness has been an invitation to really slow down and allow integration to happen. It's been a big it's been a big life, though. Yeah, last week, for those of you who watched my video, would have known that I had a big week and a lot of stepping more deeply into a deeper truth within myself. So for those of you who are here for the first time, if anyone, this is me, Phoenix, and this is my social experiment for myself called Behind the Mask. What does it mean to keep showing up in life, removing all those layers, removing all those masks, removing all of the armor that keeps me, you, we, us from being touched by life and from touching life? And yeah, being unwell, I could have easily just hunkered under my sheets today, continuing to watch The Bold Type, which is a new show I found, which is actually really amazing. It's very feminist oriented, and very securely attached oriented, which is actually pretty amazing. I've never actually seen a show quite like it. So it's been pretty fascinating to see this kind of new paradigm of being kind of portrayed. But that's beyond the point. So what I wanted to talk about today is discipline, and what that means for me. Discipline is going to mean something totally different for each and every one of us. Kind of just backtracking a bit before I, like I've already said, I usually talk to my coach on Fridays, Morpheus. His name is Carlos, but I call him Morpheus because obviously I'm Neo. And I was like, oh, I'm just not feeling well. Maybe this is an excuse not to not to do my show today. He's like, no, it's not, because I've really shared with him it's kind of like I've already mentioned a few times, this social experiment, which is like, how do we build personal power by showing up, which I've already talked about in the past. So this is like a different spin on it. So discipline. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've had a very, very arduous journey with discipline in my life, which I'm sure many of you can understand or attest to in your own lives. Growing up in a very strict Italian household, and having gone to a very strict Catholic school, my pretty much my entire childhood, from first grade until school, and especially also growing up in a like discipline is very highly regarded, or at least my my previously perceived understanding of what discipline was. And so, being the rebel that I am, I really I hated discipline. I still don't like being told what to do. Like, even if it's me, like, even if it's like, oh, I should do this thing, it's like, there's this other part of me that's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. That's like the shadow part of being a rebel, I guess. It's like the rebel being turned back in on oneself. Um, though over the years, I've had this real journey with discipline, and I guess for being a woman in a kind of in a culture that values a specific prototype of a feminine body. Growing up, there was definitely like the discipline of like eating well and exercising and doing all the things that I thought I needed to do to kind of fit this mold of what beauty was. And that was discipline, like having discipline around that. And I didn't like that. It wasn't fun. It wasn't inspiring. It wasn't enlivening, because again, I was kind of like following this not me, not my heart, Um, and this has grown and this has shifted. And a couple of years ago, when I was in a process of separation and really seeking, which, by the way, I have no, I'm a proud seeker, I shall say. Yeah, I'm a proud seeker because I want to learn and I want to understand myself and the world that I live in. I don't wish to live blindly. I actually wish to live fully. And so I seek, I quest, I look, I observe, I desire to understand. And so when I came across this book by Osho, which I know there's controversy around Osho and also controversy around some of his books, because a lot of them have been kind of I'm a bit under the weather, so my brain's not working properly, but a lot of them have just been his students kind of writing down some of his discourses, and those discourses were directed to specific people's questions. And so it's out of context, perhaps. So there is a bit of controversy around some of Osho's writings. However, I came across this book on intimacy a couple of years ago, and something that really struck me around discipline has not, it didn't only strike me, but it's also stuck with me. That's really inspired me, and I've continued to chew on it and query into it, and even share it with some of my students and um, my mentees. And it's really cool. And then I'd like to talk a bit. Love you Tuesdays. You don't like discipline either. That's why you click the angry face, perhaps. So this is on a question about discipline. So there is a vast difference, not only a difference, but discipline and control are polar opposites. Control is from the ego, discipline is from the non ego. Control is manipulating yourself, discipline is to understand yourself. Discipline is a natural phenomenon, control is unnatural. Control is a sort of suppression, discipline is spontaneous. Discipline needs only understanding. You understand and you act according to your understanding. Discipline has no ideal to follow and no dogma to follow. Discipline is not perfectionist. By and by, discipline leads you towards wholeness. I'm going to just read two more pieces and get to the point of what I'm wanting to share around discipline. Control is perfectionist. It has an ideal to be achieved. You have an idea in your mind about how you should be. Control has many shoulds and many should nots. Discipline has none. Discipline is a natural understanding of flowering. The very word discipline, this is the piece that really struck me. The very word discipline comes from a root that means to learn. It comes from the same root as the word disciple. A disciple is one who is ready to learn, and discipline is the capacity of openness that helps you to learn. Discipline has nothing to do with control. In fact, a disciplined mind is never a mind that thinks in terms of control. There is no need for it. A disciplined mind needs no control. A disciplined mind is absolutely free. So, yeah, this piece around discipline having the same root as the word disciple. And the way that I interpreted it when I first received this transmission, or this like understanding, was, wow, the word discipline actually, what if the word discipline actually means to be a disciple of oneself? Like the desire to understand oneself so deeply, to become a disciple of oneself. Yeah, and so again, like coming from a Catholic background, this was kind of my original programming as a young child. Don't have to go into that trauma too much, but this, like, disciples were people that kind of followed. Yeah. And that was like, again, for a rebel, it's like, I don't want to follow anybody. I want to follow my own song, my own tune. But that these disciples, to be a disciple, is to want to understand, to want to learn. And so therefore being a disciple of oneself is like, I can't even see. I mean, it's like um, such a great pathway, this path of discipline, this path of being a disciple of oneself, where it's inspiring and enlivening to understand oneself so deeply that I'm willing to um, tend to myself in the best way that I can. Yeah, so again, like rather than forcing myself to be a certain way, it's actually, what is this natural flowering that supports me in deepening with myself and the things that help me to connect more deeply with myself. So this it was inspired this morning when I was like, I don't want to do this thing, I'm feeling unwell, but it's like, no, actually, this discipline is because I have this desire to engage more deeply in understanding myself, and to engage more deeply in an experiment that supports me to grow my own personal power. Yeah, to grow my resiliency, to grow my capacity to meet the challenges and still be there as a pillar for myself, and as a stand for what I believe in and what it is that I hold true to my heart. And so, yeah, this difference, where I always so discipline is like being controlling, like you gotta go to the gym 10, 5 days a week. That's my discipline. But is it enjoyable to go to the gym 5 days a week? Like, yes, for some it is. Like, oh yeah, like I love, personally, my discipline is sitting at my altar every day. And I love it. Like, it's not even a thought, like maybe for some people sitting and meditating, it's like, oh, it's like a chore. But like, I actually love it. It's my time. It's part of my daily practice. It's part of like this support structure that I have kind of crafted in my own life that allows me a moment to just rest into this sense of, here I am. It's like home, it's comfort sitting at my altar every morning, But again, I guess discipline is what shapes and carves the structures that then allow for support. Though I guess it comes for me, I'm not saying I have it figured out. This is just my inquiry, because I'm such a non-apologetic quester. It's like, how do I continue to nurture the practices that allow me to be even more disciplined? Yeah. And I don't mean discipline as like a controlling perfectionist, I must be a certain way. Though this discipline that allows more spaciousness and more freedom for me to be more of myself in the world. And I know it's like I've been, like many of us and probably everybody, journeying with like anything like food or tobacco or sugar or Netflix or ganja or, whatever it is, those things that maybe we like see as vices, and that's a whole nother conversation, like what one sees as a vice can actually be like in one moment like the best medicine to support us to regulate our nervous systems and regulate ourselves. And I'm a really big huge advocate of doing whatever it takes to regulate my nervous system at this point in my life, even if that might be looked like frowned upon from the outside as a vice. Though I know when when I'm eating too many of my gluten-free mint chocolate covered cookies, like I know when I've had too many. I know when I've gone through too many packs in a week, but I know that fine line inside of myself as well. It's like, oh yeah, this one cookie right now is like the sweetness I need to honor this challenge that I'm facing. I'm just going to eat this cookie because it's comforting, right? Though I'm using that as a very simple, basic example. But I find that then when like I'm regulated inside of myself, then I don't have desire to eat the cookie anymore. I don't need it anymore. Same with like Netflix or same with ganja, which I love engaging with occasionally because it's a medicine that really supports me to calm my nervous system when I'm like, oh, spinning out. However, um, recently I haven't been needing it anymore. And yeah, there's like these parts inside of me that are like, oh, you should be different. You should be doing something different. You should be healthier. You should be on the phone less or spend more time meditating or be doing more exercise. But I don't feel like doing exercise right now. I've been feeling in this certain way and I don't want to go outside. I've been feeling unwell. I don't want to go out into the elements. It's like, though then there's moments where it actually brings me joy and aliveness to do those very same things that in another moment I don't enjoy doing. And so this is my yeah, my current exploration. I wouldn't even say it's an exploration. I'm just enjoying talking about it right now. It's like this discipline of self, like and for me, the main most important piece of my discipline, like number one, is to be kind, loving, and compassionate to myself, especially when those voices come up telling me that I should be doing another thing or I should be acting or behaving in a different way. Like, my discipline is to just be like, no, actually, I'm not going to listen to you right now. Voice that's telling me I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it the way that I need to be doing it right now. And so the discipline of kindness and self-care and self-nourishment, like slowing down, especially like when the mind is telling us we should be doing something else or something more. Like, stop being a fucking control freak, mind. you know And I guess that's the thing, like that's the rebel inside of me that doesn't want to succumb to the control freak in my mind. The one that's telling me I should be doing it different or more, you know? That's the rebel inside of me that's like, no, I'm not going to do it the way you tell me to do it. I want to do it the way that feels good, that feels easeful, that feels, mm, like there is no problem here, mind. I'm being me, and there's no problem here being me. And so, this relationship to discipline Like sometimes, I got to push myself a little bit. Not saying that that's not a part of it, like showing up to do the things that I don't feel like I really want to do sometimes because I'm feeling lazy or I'm feeling lethargic or I'm feeling flat or upset or frustrated, whatever, but there's this deeper part of me that's like, oh no, babe, but when you do it, you feel really good about yourself, oh yeah, because I'm a disciple of myself. So I want to do the things that are going to lead me to feeling good about myself. So that tension, between like lovingly kind of pushing, not like whipping. I'm not into whipping myself into shape. Kind of did that. Um, I don't know, probably until about last year, 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah, I did that for most of my life, and something is shifting now, and I'm really pleased with the way it's shifting. So thanking Osho for that inspiration around this new understanding around discipline because it's not for anybody else. It's not to fit a mold or fit a stereotype or fit a program or to please somebody else. It's actually to feel good about oneself and being in like deeper relationship with oneself. And I guess that each of us has that own kind of inner compass, like that inner compass to gauge, like, do I feel good in this because I feel alive and aligned with myself? Or do I feel good about this because I'm fulfilling this external program that tells me if I'm, you know, 55 kilos and cut in a certain way, or have my hair or my outfit or have this kind of level of success that I've worked so hard to achieve, that I'm okay? Or is it just again like following my own flow, my own rhythm, my own pace, and letting that be like what I continue to lean into? Yeah, like the river. I love working with the metaphor of the river. I love working with the metaphors of nature very, very much. There's my greatest teachers. But like the river it's disciplined. Like the river steers its course. It stays on its course. It's going to the destination, which is the ocean. But it doesn't push. It doesn't like go in a straight line. It's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna take this path of least resistance. It winds, it twists, it curves, it explores, it nourishes what it touches. And that's the kind of discipline I want to continue to foster, cultivate inside of myself. A discipline that is based in the least amount of resistance, and the least amount of resistance and the most amount of nourishment and fulfillment. Yeah. So for me today, my discipline is going to look like getting some fresh air, even though part of me doesn't want to go out. But there's a part of me that knows getting some fresh air after being unwell for the past 3 days is going to be really good for me. And I know it's going to like turn me on, especially if the little mushrooms are out. I love witnessing them in their natural habitat. And watching a movie with a friend later and cuddling and relaxing. That is my discipline today. Even though part of my mind is like, you got this project you're launching and you must get all of the website stuff done. And it's like, but I'm here tending to my body. And if I can tend to my body today, tomorrow I'm going to have so much more energy to do the projects that my mind is like telling me to do today. So, yeah, a little um, riff exploration, articulation of what's moving through me today, what's inspiring me today. Maybe it's good for you, maybe it's not. Though it doesn't matter, really. because I really am enjoying being disciplined and showing up here once a week to share in this way of behind the mask. Like, I'm not polished. I don't have it all figured out. I haven't rehearsed what I was gonna say. I just I have like a thread. I'm gonna follow that thread. And I want to get better and 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 better at following the thread. Kind of like the river. Just it's gotten so masterful at following its course. So thank you for those of you who do um, appreciate, enjoy, show up here with me. Um, and thank you to Morpheus, my coach, Carlos, for reminding me that showing up here is not for anybody else except for me. And thanks to me for being disciplined and being a disciple of myself so that I can keep on learning, 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 learning. Because when I convince myself I've got it all figured out, my dad used to do that. I'm so stoked. I know how to do this now with my finger. Um, but yeah. Like when I think I got it all figured out, that's a trap, isn't it? So may I continue to be questing. May I continue to be curious and keep following the thread of my own curiosity. Yes, may I. Yes, may I. Yes, I may. Yes, Mother, I may. Keep on following my own curiosity because I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. This inquiring mind wants to know who and what she is. So I'm going to keep on being disciplined, being a disciple, and seeing where the river carries me next. Have a beautiful day. See you next week. Bless.